It's the Arguing Agile podcast. On the last podcast, in last episode, we talked about mission, vision, strategy. We talked about that because those are the things that are missing from you creating a great roadmap, right? If any of those are not there, they're going to sabotage you when you go to create a great roadmap. So what I thought we would sit down and do was we'd live that advice prescribed in that episode, and we would actually go through the mission, vision, strategy exercise for the podcast. Let's drive through what's posted now for vision and mission and strategy, and then we will brainstorm and work together to come up with a better version.
Sounds like a plan. Let's do it.
The advantage of this podcast, I kind of see it as you don't get to be in the room normally when what's about to happen happens.
Yeah, you arrive much, much later and you get things handed to you.
Right.
So we're going to start at the base level, basically. We're going to start with the lowest level of the pyramid that we covered in the last podcast.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And we're doing this for our product, which is the podcast itself. So you're going to witness how it really happens, except you don't get to participate in that in your daily lives.
If we go to the Arguing Agile podcast channel on YouTube and we click About, we are presented with this description. And if you look at any of the podcast sites, this description holds true. It's the same on every podcast site. It says, we're arguing about Agile software development so that you don't have to. And it says, all right, the Arguing Agile podcast is where product manager Brian Orlando and enterprise Agile coach Om Patel sit down with other professionals in and around the Agile software development space to have real, unscripted, authentic conversations. The first statement in that description is the vision. We're arguing about Agile software development so that you don't have to. So we're going to have the arguments. That way you don't have to. And then the mission is the Arguing Agile podcast is where we sit down with other Agilists to have real, unscripted, authentic conversations. So that's the mission and vision as it sits right now.
Even though they're listed as mission and vision, oftentimes you start with the vision and then you develop your mission to fulfill the vision as you're going through it.
I'm going to leave this mission here, okay? But let's pretend for a second that there is no podcast and we started from scratch. So as far as the vision, you want to start with vision?
Start with the vision.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So I think the element of that vision that's in there is the arguing part. Okay. So the arguing part I think should not come out.
Absolutely.
The other part of arguing is the idea that in a product owner or scrum master career, they'll get challenged. So we would like to prepare you, the Agilist. I don't even know if product owner or scrum master should even be in this. But anyway, we want to prepare you, the Agilist, to better defend yourself. I'm just saying it to get it out there. To better defend yourself when you get in these arguments, when you get pushed on the concepts and the things that you know are correct.
Yeah, better deal with, let's say, right? Rather than defend. Because it's not about you getting attacked or anything. It's just having the wherewithal, having at your disposal certain nuggets of information, for want of a better expression, that you can use to make your case, right? And survive and thrive, essentially. The practice piece of the practice. You're at work and you get faced with a challenge like this. How do you navigate the choppy waters?
Prepare the Agilist to better deal with
the real life challenges to Agile practice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I mean, it's short.
I like short. It's a vision, right? Not writing essays. Won't be getting a Pulitzer Prize with that one, but it's okay.
Listen, we're not winning any awards. I'm going to smash your dreams right now. We're not winning any awards for this podcast.
Well, I can say I'm not disappointed because that was not the goal. As long as we prepare Agilists to swim and not kind of just struggle and flail, then I think we've achieved our vision.
I have the feeling I would like to go just a step deeper on better deal with real life challenges to Agile practices. Well, it's several things. Like I feel passionately that arguing should be in here. That's
okay. Well, you've got arguing at the beginning of this. We're saying what we want to do, which is to prepare the Agilist. Now we could say, the how, right? How are we doing that? By arguing about the topics from different perspectives. So we're not taking a stance necessarily and say, this is right, wrong, or otherwise.
Oh, that's a great point. I'm gonna write it like this, but this is not the final language. Demonstrating the real argument they will encounter. It's not just demonstrating; it's representing the real arguments, representing both sides.
Yeah, by enacting the arguments, by demonstrating
staging the arguments.
Yeah, staging.
Like We might have to go to thesaurus on this podcast. Oh boy.
no.
So let me go to the screen so I can present what we have so far. To prepare the Agilist to better deal with real-life challenges to Agile practices by gamifying or demonstrating the real arguments, both sides.
Awesome.
There you go.
Awesome. Now you have a vision.
Well, that's sort of in the charter, like we do seek to represent both sides of an argument. It's just sometimes one side of an argument is just really shaky and bad. You know, like the argument for using hours. That's just a bad argument. It's just bad. It's difficult to defend hours as a unit of estimation. I'm not even talking about retroactively tracking what your team did in hours. I'm not making a statement about that. I'm saying, hey, how long will this take to do? Oh, well, I think it might take maybe 3 man days, so 24 hours. 24 hours? Really? I think I can get it done in 5 minutes.
So maybe we should just rewind a bit and just kind of cover the mission, the stuff that you've basically put in italicized.
Yeah. So if you go out to YouTube right now, you'll see one statement. Actually, is together. You'll see that we're arguing about Agile software development, so you don't have to. And then the next thing, that's a sentence, and then there's a break, and then it says, "You're arguing Agile podcast is where product manager Brian Orlando and enterprise Agile coach John Patel." That's how I hear it in my head. Yeah. It's like with like elevator music playing behind it. Yeah, right. Yeah, like everyone else's. But that is the mission. So we said with the vision, let's do the vision first, because usually everything follows the vision. So the vision goes from, admittedly, a very broad strokes vision as it was before, to prepare the Agilist to better deal with real life challenges to Agile practices by presenting and or demonstrating both sides of the real arguments that they'll encounter as they progress through their career.
The vision seldom changes. The mission may, or you may have multiple missions, but still feeding the same vision. So that's why we said, well, let's just start with the vision first. And now we're going to look at, what's our mission?
I think if we're working backwards to the mission, now we're going to get wordy. Let's throw some things down that should be in the mission. Because we talked about this earlier.
We got 5 points here, right? It's not selling anything. We'll work in the field. We're agnostic, framework or methodology, unbiased, as is all stages of the career.
But it's learned experience over the course of a career. That if I think about the original mission when we started this podcast, was a venue to tell stories and to let other Agilists tell stories about things that they've encountered in their career. That was the original mission that I never wrote down. It's probably something wrapped around what I just said. It's probably something to do with learning from the experiences and stories of other Agilists. The mission probably begins or ends or something is blocked around that. That's probably the core of this mission that we're going around.
Do we not also stamp down on all these stupid anti-patterns and stuff that we see? We're quick to point those things out, right? Isn't that a core benefit?
I think
That's
so.
A mission, right?
I think so. We should be free to point out propaganda. It's not called propaganda when it's called marketing. I'm sorry. It's called marketing. When someone bends the truth or only shows you a perspective because they're trying to sell you their book or their product or their service or their certification or their whatever it is they're selling.
Which we're not. We're not selling anything.
That's especially.
Which is why we're broken for. But that's beside the point. One of our strengths is we always clamp down on it and say that's BS. So we call out the BS.
Now that we're dealing with the mission as well, I'm also on the fence about even the specific product of arguing Agile. Now I kind of wish I didn't have Agile in the name, because I'm everything we just talked about here, only because we have the word Agilist in here a couple times. Is it tied to Agile? Nothing here is tied to Agile. It's a career podcast now. With what we just did, the vision and the mission, we put the vision and the mission together, it became a career podcast. I mean, it's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. We're based, I see a whole different audience now in my brain, whereas they may not be Agilists. Our mission now is a whole mess of randomized things written down. We have to figure out how to form it. So let me pause. We could be using the Roman Pichler product vision board. I prefer the extended one because it covers more ground. If you bring in the basic one, sales is going to be get out of here. So I prefer this one. We're talking about channels. We're talking about the cost. We're talking about revenue streams we're bringing in. There's a lot of stuff here that is really good if you were sitting down trying to launch a product that had to basically keep everyone employed. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on here that we are not doing because we know the audience so well. We're shortcutting a lot of the discussion that this kind of a tool facilitates and helps. Well, it doesn't really facilitate. I guess you facilitate it, but helps pull out and make visual and stuff like that. We did talk about this right in like the first 5 minutes when we started, and we decided we weren't going to use any kind of tool like this. It would be cool to have the vision at the very, very top, and then have a swim lane for each one of these, and we can go on a Miro board and add little stickies, or I could put it on that board with tape for swim lanes. We could add stickies. Nope. Ain't nobody got time for that. No. But yeah, I mean, what are our goals? What's our product going to be? Who are our target group? You know what I mean? Who is our target audience? Like, I don't need to spend time on these things. Because we
assume it.
Yeah, we've assumed what they are. I'm certainly willing to be beat up about like, well, do you really know your audience that well? Or what are you going to do to turn your assumption-based vision and whatever into a evidence-based vision and mission, whatever?
Do you have to?
Seriously? Listen, there's plenty of companies that don't do any of what I just talked about. I know a company that is a couple of founders that used to be data analysts, and they basically were really frustrated that all the tools for data analysts that are out there were terrible. And they were just like the bareliest step above either Excel or SQL. And they were like, this is terrible. There's got to be a better way. And they basically, three of them, I think there's three of them, got together and they created a company, and that company is a giant Silicon Valley company now.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, that's it. That's how they're like, we know the audience. We're going to sell tools to data analysts because there are no tools out there that are good. So we're just going to make them. Like that's basically the shortcutting of what we're doing here is like all the other podcasts that are out there, like they're trying to sell you something. They're trying to peddle their wares. And here we are. Boy, let's
go back to the.
I enjoy a good rant.
To the word soup that we have.
Yeah,
here.
Please, yeah.
This is a lot of words, but out of all of these, we have to now synthesize a coherent mission that the average Joe on the street could read and understand.
I think the first part of the mission previously is fine to get us started, and I can delete our names out of it just to make it shorter.
We should.
The Arguing Agile podcast is where a product person and a I want to say a teams person, but I don't even really know what to relabel an enterprise agile coach as. Yeah,
teams is underselling me, but enterprise is enterprise. I mean, it's one of those words, right? Everything's an enterprise. Mm-hmm. Government departments are enterprises, like big ones. We would just say two agilists if you really want to get down. Because the way this reads, a product person is not an agilist now.
Maybe not. I've met a lot of product people who.
I've met a lot of agilists that are not agilists. Seriously.
The mission is to be viewed as unbiased.
Exactly.
That's why. You could just say unbiased and you're already done.
So
you're done. Yeah. Mission is hard. That's why people start with vision and don't look back.
Skip over it. Yeah.
That's right.
You're right.
I would argue it's about what it is as much as it is what it's not. That came out totally clear. It's as much about what is in as it is what is out. We started with just a laundry list of things, and all that stuff got either rolled in or cut out because it just didn't fit. Like once the picture emerged a little bit more, it didn't really fit anymore, and it got cut. The product is going to be built off the vision, because we're talking about like the media company now. That's the mission of the company that sponsors the Agile podcast. Like think about Ohm and I for a second. The reason for this is about learning and experience, not about making money off of people. Right? Like the way that I'm expressing that is, well, we're unbiased from anybody that's trying to make money. But what I'm really trying to say is like we value this over whatever. Well, that's an even worse way to say it, because now I sound like the.
Yeah, you sound like.
Hang on, because we're too deep now. Let's read what we got and just I want to put a pin in it, because this is not even what I wanted to talk about today. Okay. Like the Arguing Agile is a podcast where a product person and an agilist, both working professionals in their fields. The idea with working professionals is like none of us are trainers or academics or playing this on TV or whatever. Like we actually work doing what we profess to be experts in doing on the podcast. That was the point of having the agilist and the product person. We talked about this for part of the mission as well, as like they're like the pushback that the trainers will give you on this statement to be like, bro, Brian, that's not fair because we work too. They'll say, well, we all, like everyone who's a trainer also like has a consultancy, and they do consultant work, they take on consultant gigs, and they do coaching, and they do that kind of stuff. And like that is true, but again, just like the analogy I gave Ohm before we got here was, that's like saying that you're a roofing expert and you show up to my house and you fix a hole in my roof, but then I got to live with that roof forever.
I like the seagull.
I have to maintain
the
the roof.
Seagull analogy. They come in, they poop all over the place, and take off.
So sorry, I was trying to paint the status quo in a better light. It's like obviously we're now in the full spirit of arguing. All right, let's settle on a high level mission. So all stages of careers seek to do so while maintaining an unbiased position from financial interest. I think that is enough to get across what we were trying to say about the training and all that other kind of stuff. I could cut the last one, but I still think that we seek to go deeper and kind of make you understand why the status quo is status quo. Like, I think that should be in there, but also for the purpose of time, I'll just, oh no, I didn't mean to do that. Where's my control button? Hello, computer. Arguing Agile is a podcast where working professionals explore emergent topics, should be current topics. But anyway, emergent topics and learnings from other experiences and stories of Agilists. Other Agilists? What other Agilists? Of Agilists at all stages of their career. We seek to do so while maintaining an unbiased position from any financial interest. And then from there, we get the vision. To prepare the Agilists to better deal with real-life challenges, to Agile practices by presenting and or demonstrating both sides of the real argument they'll encounter as they progress through their career.
I'll buy it.
I went through all that.
I want 2 to go.
I went through all that to get you to the strategy, which is the one thing I wanted to talk about. It seems every time we try to talk about strategy, we get sidetracked, which, welcome to real life.
I think this should get easier because strategy is the how part.
Yeah. So let's look at strategy. So I'm bringing up a site. I might put this in the link so people can see it. But for the people that are only listening, I'm bringing up this site because the kernel of a good strategy should have these things. This comes from the Good Strategy, Bad Strategy book that Marty Kagan is a big fan of. And I really like the Good Strategy, Bad Strategy. Richard Ramelt. He says a good strategy has 3 pieces. Number 1 is the diagnosis. Number 2 is a guiding policy. Number 3 is a set of coherent actions. And he gives the example being the diagnosis is the doctor says, congratulations, you have strep throat. That's what's going on here. That's the issue here.
Is that something that one aspires to win?
Congratulations. Step 2 is the guiding policy. So first you get the diagnosis, then you get the guiding policy. How are we going to deal with this? Okay, well, we'll deal with it, strep infection with antibiotics, rest, and fluids. That's how we're going to deal with it. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, it means here's a certain amount of medication and a type of medication. Here's the amount of time I want you to take it in. Here's the, drink this much. Here's your diet. Get lots of rest. Keep it elevated. There you go. And
elevated?
Everyone can take 2 Motrin, keep it elevated. Now you can all send me a couple $100. They also use SpaceX as another example, a diagnosis.
They want to keep that elevated.
Yeah, the diagnosis for SpaceX. What is preventing humans from colonizing other planets? And then the diagnosis is there is a critical bottleneck of cost. It's too cost prohibitive to reach for the stars.
Disposable model is too cost prohibitive.
It's the diagnosis.
Yeah.
The guiding policy is we're going to sell launch services to fund the design and development of the technologies that we need to return a rocket back to Earth intact. And then the coherent actions are years-long set of actions to develop and test components necessary to make reusable rockets. That's the kernel of a good strategy. That's what they call it. The diagnosis, guiding policy, and then the set of coherent actions. As the designated product person on the podcast today, the majority of companies I've been at, when you ask executives for the strategy, they will rattle off features. They'll go straight to features. We need to add PDF functionality to mobile application. We need to integrate with this other database in this partner application over here. Like that's not a strategy. That's not what I asked you. And I'll ask again, but the more I press, now it's becoming a problem. And like if all kinds of feathers get ruffled and there's all kinds of problems, there may be breakdance fights happening in the parking lot.
Yeah, you're right. So they gravitate to implementation details.
Yes.
Which is what I call the examples you said.
Could you not take one of these examples here, like the set of cohesive actions? Like take 150 milligrams of penicillin every 6 to 8 hours for 10 days. They're skipping the diagnosis and the guiding policy and going straight to the coherent actions. Why do they do that? My supposition is that the right word? Like, are we in court? Objection. My hypothesis here is people are just bad at strategy. Like, I think maybe when they go through the MBA courses or whatever, like a lot of people maybe are like, they sleep in this day, maybe. I don't know.
This one day that they learn about strategy? My experience is, as someone having been through such a course, all you do is you study cases, right? So you get all these Harvard business cases, and everything that you look at is in retrospect. This is what happened, those companies are probably dead by now, right? You talk about strategies for Kmart. Where are they now? Sears, things like that.
Yeah.
So you don't learn anything new. You're learning with hindsight. Like what was done decades ago. I'm talking literally like 30, 40, 50 years ago, right? That doesn't help you create strategies today.
To pivot back to the whole point of our podcast, since this is a strategy book, it's kind of rolling a lot of steps in one. The diagnosis, I think, for the purpose of us breaking things down at this low level here, because we're going down to the roadmap level, that's super low. What I think is, the diagnosis stays in the strategy category. The guiding policy goes in the goal category. The set of coherent actions goes in the roadmap category. I think that's actually how this breaks out. The other thing I also mentioned before we started recording, there's tons, like if you Google the product vision, whatever pyramid, only the one that I showed last week has mission at the bottom. Almost every other one has mission at the very, very tippy top. And then goals and strategy are reversed in almost every other one as well, because people think about goals. They're like, well, where do you want to go with your company? And then the strategy is what drives you to that goal. They think of these reversed, right? So you kind of have to listen to the context we're putting these up in to come along. Right. But for this purpose, the strategy here is the diagnosis. For the podcast, the diagnosis this is also in the product canvas I showed earlier. This is the differentiators, and this is the why is your product unique and that kind of stuff. There's no one else offering an unbiased view, like without selling anything in addition. And there's no one else, the vision, going back to the vision, there's no one else preparing you to argue both sides of whatever you're going to encounter. I'm going to try to rip apart the vision to create our diagnoses so we can have a couple different strategies. So strategy number one is going to be each episode presents both sides of a real argument. I don't have to put I could put issue here, I could put challenge here.
As far as the why, the podcast exists because we want to fulfill the need that no one else is fulfilling in the market, right? For unbiased presentations of both sides of the issues, or any issue really, by people that are working in the field. That does not exist, so we're trying to provide that. Wouldn't that be the strategy?
Yeah, so let's think about the product for a second. Each iteration of the product, and iteration here being each podcast. Each podcast, like we're going to use one of these strategies. Any podcast we do should roll back up to one of these strategies. Think about it just like you would think about if someone were to come to you and say, "Oh, yeah, I'm a executive. I'm one of the Bobs. Here I am. We just bought your company." We do that sometimes. We want you to create this new feature where you can click a button and whatever balloons pop out, and you're like, "What does that have to do with any of my strategies? How does that help me move the vision forward?" So basically, it's. I wanted to have a podcast about saying no. Right, we talked about that
still gonna do it.
a long time ago. A podcast about saying no. Like you can't say no without leverage, and like having solid strategies that you're trying to execute on, having a solid vision. Like this is the leverage you need to say, I hit a button and balloons pop out because it demos great at sales conferences or whatever. Like that's not in any of our strategies, and that's not in line with the goals. Like that, in fact, it's kind of opposite of the goals. Like that seems like a marketing scheme that you're trying to sneak into this, and like we're basically like anti-marketing is in our mission. So kindly go away. I'm not going to say no, but I'm just going to say not now and put it in the backlog and let it sit there for a million years. No, doesn't fit, doesn't work. We're not doing it. Get out of my office. The strategy number one is to present both sides of a topic that's explored. Strategy number two is to expand subscribership. We'll talk about how to expand subscribership. Okay. I have a bunch of strategies here, but these strategies really are goals, except for the 500 subscriber one, like the expand to 500 subscribers. Like how? Our goal. This is a goal too.
That's a goal.
I don't know. I think maybe these are strategies. Like the strategy is present both sides of every topic that we explore. The strategy is we want to point out the difference between real life experience versus the book certification at every opportunity. And we want to be a platform, serve as a platform for Agilists to share learnings and experiences.
Are we a platform where they can share, or do they just consume? Like, are they learning?
Yeah, you make a good point.
'Cause if it's like a public blog or something that anyone can, contribute to, then they're sharing. And
I'm thinking about the podcast specifically, like having people on. You know what I mean? So like, it's like a goal. So if I copy these down here into goals, and I say, well, how are we going to present both sides? How are we going to offer a real look? And how are we going to be a platform? Like, how are we going to be a platform for Agilists to share learnings? Like under that one, I'll say, well, a goal that we have to advance this strategy is we want to have X number of guests on. Every month we want to have at least 2 out of the 4 podcasts in a month we want to have a guest on. You know what another one would be? Because having guests on may not actually hit this bullet point. Every month we want to offer a new guest that we've not had on previously. One new guest per month.
Okay.
It's
quantifiable, so
it's quantifiable, and I don't feel it's too taxing.
So I think that's a better way to phrase it. No, your point about having a new or a different guest every month, right? That's a good goal.
So there we go. There's our 3 strategies that we're engaged in right now.
And each of those would have goals, right?
And each of those should have at least one goal.
Right.
So under this, be a platform for Agilists to share learning experiences. If we're expanding the platform, that's where I want to put so expand to 500 subscribers on YouTube. I have to say on YouTube because you do subscribe on Spotify or whatever, but
not all of them.
My tool, not all of them you do, and also my tool for managing that is garbage. So I can't. I don't have the metrics even if I wrote them down.
Look, the more specific we can make these, the better. It makes me feel good because the goals should be measurable.
And then we said the middle one, offer a look at real life experience versus the textbook, and then presenting both sides explored. The both sides explored is each episode.
One of us takes on a side each, right?
I don't know a better way to say it other than side A, side B. But yeah, they're opposing views. Yeah.
Side A, side B. Side A, side B is like...
View. Yeah, I like that one better because
it's like vinyl records. I can deal with that.
Each episode, one host takes one side while the other seeks to present the opposing view. Offer a look at real life experience versus textbook cert. I can't think of a goal for that one right now. But probably because I need to get this one out of my head, which is one new guest per month.
But let's put that down. That way we don't lose it. And then going back to the second one, offer a look at real life experience versus textbook cert. I'm trying to think how you would quantify that. So looking at the first one, every topic we should be able to say this is what people are banning about on this topic, but in real life this is what happens.
Right.
I don't know how you package that up.
This is another one where it's an each episode thing. It needs to be a goal that we're executing on every single episode.
By executing 1A, right, we are doing this as well. But I think the focus here is experience-based learnings as opposed to textbook or, cert class type of thing.
Goal 1 and 2, they're
pretty integrated.
They really
together.
are. Yeah, they really are, because they're basically guiding every single episode. Every single episode, our goal 1 and 2, our strategy 1 and 2. It almost makes me kind of think that strategy 1 and 2 should really be the same strategy. They should really be rolled together, because their execution is every episode you need to make a framework for the way the episode proceeds, and you need to consider these 2 things.
What if you took 2 and put it at the end of 1 with the word "and" in the middle?
I think there's more things here, because there's no strategy about expanding reach.
Right.
That's a missing strategy. So if we're going to say expand the reach of the podcast, and that's going to be something we have to build goals for.
I agree.
I would like to say goal number 1 would be podcast releases publicize on LinkedIn. Because we do that now.
You could add on like LinkedIn, Twitter. Why don't we just do it at the same time, right?
I don't know where else to go. Each of these has a cost to it, because now it's time and money, and as we figure out how to expand to these other platforms. But anyway, I don't need to fill out every single one of these because now that I have goals from my strategies, I'm ready to build a roadmap. If I gave this to you, the goals, the way they are now, strategies in bold and then goals in not bold, except down here where Microsoft hates me. But if I gave you these, could you create a roadmap from them? Well, I'll give you the roadmap for this one, because my brain is already going into product mode, because I'm already thinking we have a list where we keep all the ideas that we talk through to stage out the podcast. And
That's your backlog.
I could hit that Google sheet with my little Python script that starts the podcast. I could hit that Google sheet and I could spit out not an agenda, but I could spit out a template to say, okay, this is a template for the podcast. And in the template, it would say, make sure that when you're exploring the subject, one host hits this point, one host opposes this point, one host presents a textbook for this point or whatever. And I could spit this out as an agenda pretty easily. But that item would go in the roadmap. Hey, come up with some kind of automatic way of generating a agenda that the host can easily use when they come and set up and are ready to go. So now we're building a real roadmap off of stuff that actually matters. If you're talking about expanding the reach of the podcast, strategy number 3, I have several goals. Like I know I want to be on Twitter. I know I want to be on whatever, Instagram or whatever, TikTok. I don't know. I don't know where I want to be. But the point is, like, now you have to say, I want to expand the podcast to Twitter. Go figure out, how do you build the audience? How do you find the audience? Who are the right people? You can do product stuff now.
Right.
As opposed to, hey, just go build me this feature and stop asking me why.
Hey, go make it happen.
That's right. Get out of my office. Stop asking these pesky who's going to pay for it questions and is it going to make us money and whatever. Just do what I say. Until basically like we're Blockbuster. Toys R Us is different than Blockbuster. Blockbuster ran themselves into the ground. Yeah. Toys R Us, PE ran them into the ground by strapping them down with debt that they incurred from buying themselves, which is ridiculous if you think about it.
Yeah. It is crazy.
Oh, you want to see me ruffle some feathers? We'll have a private equity podcast.
Have we stopped recording?
No, we haven't stopped recording. Sadly, just to wrap this podcast up, since the last episode went up, I was really bothered that we spent most of the time just talking about, hey, if these things are not in place, you're not going to be successful in building a roadmap and carrying out a roadmap, right? So we spent so much time talking about, hey, what are the things you need to have in place? I thought we spent an episode, even if the viewers don't care about the podcast, but both of you.
Subscribe.
Oh, yeah. I thought we'd spend some time actually walking through this exercise because, again, my hypothesis is most people don't even get to participate in this. It's set up and done before you even get to the company most of the time. And if you try to question, like, hey, what is our corporate strategy? It comes across, especially when it's me, comes across as you don't seem to have a strategy. No,
yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah.
So the pyramid we talked about last podcast, we kind of tried to build that here and illustrate how difficult it can be. For real companies, not that this isn't real.
Difficult.
It's hard.
It is hard. There's only 3.5. There's only like 3 of us. 3 of us that have microphones. But if you were running a company, like imagine how many people you would have to consult, get in a room.
It's hard. I mean, that's the bottom line.
This process, just with 2 of us.
It would take weeks.
It would take weeks.
Thank you for staying with us this far in the podcast, both of you. And subscribe that button, smash it. Boom. Button? Subscribe. I don't know. Smash the button. Subscribe something.
We need a strategy for this part of the podcast.